Good morning, people. How is it going? Welcome to our second lesson. Today, we are going to read a biography about a scientist. The aim of this lesson is to start studying the simple past. Let's have a look at some information about this person. Now, what is this person's name? Very good. He is Mr. Amano. Why is he famous? He is famous because he contributed to humankind. Have a look at the information you have on the right. His job, his place of birth, his date of birth, and his place of work. Now, why did he become a famous person? He became a famous person because in 2014, he received the Nobel Prize in Physics because he created or he invented the blue LED. Now, how much do you remember about the previous information? What nationality is Mr. Amano? Very good, he is Japanese. What does he do? Great, he's a scientist, he's an inventor. Why is he an influential person in science? You remember? Yes, because he invented the blue LED. Does he work alone? No, he doesn't. Who does he work with? Very good, he works with two partners, Mr. Akasaki and Mr. Nakamura. What prize did they receive? This is very easy. They received the Nobel Prize in Physics in 2014. Very good. Now, we are going to expand our knowledge about Mr. Amano, and we are going to read his autobiography on your campus worksheet. Okay? Now, have a look at this sentence about Mr. Amano. Mr. Amano was born in Japan on September 11th, 1960. Now, this is the verb was born. And in this case, we are talking about an action that happened many years ago. We are talking in the past. So, this verb is in the simple past because we make reference to an event that happened in the past in 1960. This is a special verb, okay? Now, have a look at these other examples. Mr. Amano's parents were Tatsuji and Yoshiko. His parents weren't Chinese, they were Japanese. Takashi was Mr. Amano's brother, but he wasn't the eldest one. Now, in the previous examples, we were conjugating the verb to be in the past. There are different forms for the verb to be in the past. These forms are was or were depending on the person. Now, have a look at this table. When you talk about I, he, she, or it, and you are making an affirmative sentence, the verb to be is conjugated as was and in the negative form as wasn't. But when you speak about you, we, or they, you use were for the simple past of the verb to be in an affirmative sentence and were not or weren't in the negative form. Now, here you will find some other examples about Mr. Amano. You can find them on your worksheets. These examples are also in the past. Have a look at them. Mr. Amano and his family lived in Hamamatsu, an industrial city. Mr. Amano's grandmother nursed him and he learned a lot about the Second World War thanks to her stories. Now, what do these verbs have in common? In these examples, we are talking again in the past, as we mentioned before. These examples are affirmative sentences, but to conjugate the verb, we add ed to the infinitive form of the verb because they are considered as regular verbs. When you conjugate some regular verbs, in general, we say that we add ed to conjugate the verb in the affirmative form. But there are some spelling rules. Let's see them. If a verb ends in e, you add d. For example, like, liked. If a verb ends in a vowel and consonant, the consonant is usually doubled before ed. For example, vowel consonant, stopped, double P. If a verb ends in consonant and y, you take off the y and add ied. This y disappears and you have to use ied. But if the word ends in a vowel and y, as in the case of play, just add ed. Now, let's have a look at this example in the negative form. He did not enjoy studying during elementary school and high school. Again, we are talking in the past, but in this case, the sentence is a negative sentence. Now, why is it a negative sentence? Because we use the auxiliary did and the adverb not, and after that, to make it the negative sentence, and after that you have to use the verb in the infinitive form. Okay? So, let's revise what we have already discussed. When you speak about I, he, she, it, you, we, and they, in the affirmative form of regular verbs, you add the, if the verb finishes with e, in the infinitive form, ed or ied. Yes, in this way you are conjugating the verb in the simple past because this is considered a regular verb. Now, if you want to make a negative sentence, you use did not and the verb in the infinitive form. Have a look at this. In the affirmative form, you say live. In the negative form, you say didn't live in the infinitive. Learned in the affirmative form, didn't learn in the negative form. Studied in the affirmative form, didn't study in the negative form. This is important. The past simple form doesn't change for I, you, he, she, it, they, and we. We always use the same conjugation. Now, there are some verbs that are considered as irregular verbs because they don't use ed to conjugate the verb in the past. Let's have a look at these examples. At high school, I had the same mathematics teacher for 3 years. His mathematics teacher taught him the importance of logical thinking. Although I became very interested in solving mathematics problems, I still did not have a good reason for studying. So, as you can observe, the green words are verbs that are conjugated in the simple past, but, as I mentioned some minutes ago, they don't use ed to conjugate the verb, but they change. Okay? That is the reason why they are considered as irregular verbs. Now, have a look at this. I, he, she, it, you, we, they. In the affirmative form, we use the second column of the irregular verb lists to conjugate the verb in the past, in the affirmative form. Had, thought, and became. In the negative form, again, we use did not and the infinitive form of the verb, but as these verbs are irregular forms, we use the first column. For example, had in the affirmative form, didn't have in the negative form, taught in the affirmative form, didn't teach in the negative form, became in the affirmative form, didn't become in the negative form. Again, the past simple form doesn't change for I, you, he, she, it, they, and we. That is to say, there is only one form of the verb for all the persons. Now, how do I know which verbs are regular and which are irregular? You have to learn them from a list. Sorry. So, as you can observe, here you have a list of irregular verbs with two columns. In the first column, you have the infinitive form of the verb, and in the second column, the past simple. This is the column that you use when you make an affirmative sentence, and this is the column that you use for the negative sentence. Remember that for the negative sentence, you have to use didn't and the verb in the infinitive form. Okay? So, now let's go on practicing. You will find some activities to go on with this on the campus worksheet and also in Moodle. All right? Thank you very much for your attention.